I fight. I come determined to fight for what I desire, and I will do so until I run out of strength, if necessary. I am not giving up. Whoever stands against me must know that I will not back down. As summer draws to a close, we Iberian stags turn the Mediterranean forest that covers the southern Iberian Peninsula into a battleground. We come here to decide who earns the right to breed. I am not afraid. I will continue to fight until I proclaim that I'm the best. Winter must seem endless to this colony of griffon vultures in the southern part of the Iberian Peninsula. After spending yet another icy night on the crags, they can finally fly away. They take advantage of the fact that the sun has managed to warm the air, creating thermal currents that they can use to scan the territory in search of food. Nothing would suggest that griffon vultures could be an annoying neighbour or a dangerous one. But some might think otherwise. Near the colony of vultures, a pair of Spanish imperial eagles is very busy these last weeks of winter, preparing the nest they have chosen to breed this year, among the many they have. This exceptional bird of prey, one of the most beautiful and rare in the world, because it can only be found in the southern half of the Iberian Peninsula, builds and repairs nests with branches and foliage that can become very bulky over the years. It is a time of feverish activity for the eagle pair, which should aggravate their already belligerent character, very intolerant of anyone who may seem a threat to them, even if it is in fact a peaceful and unsuspecting vulture. When you have such an unpleasant neighbour, what else can you do other than be patient? The weapons that were used in other superb battles a few months ago languish at the foot of the nest of Spanish imperial eagles, mingling with grass and bushes. Those are now the useless remains of a struggle which decided who was the best. The winner among Iberian red deer males earned the right to breed. The offspring of these champions have never seen their fathers. Since the time of their birth in spring, they walk through the forest with their mothers, other females and young specimens. As they grow older and learn to be deer, males stay apart, somewhere far away, preparing their new defences for the fights that are yet to come at the end of the summer. The landscape of the Mediterranean forest shows the ravages caused by the driest season of the year. These are months of harsh heat with long periods of drought. So for this flock of spotless starlings, a puddle of water becomes an oasis where they can frolic and forget the harshness of the summer. Black storks are now also looking for water bodies to gather. Once they finish raising their chicks here, they prepare to leave. Before starting their migration to Africa, where they will spend the winter, these birds abandon their solitary habits to assemble in large flocks in flooded areas, where they find shelter and abundant food. These gatherings are an exceptional opportunity to see so many black storks together, as they are rarer and more elusive than white storks. The sky sends us signs that the great Iberian red deer fights lie ahead. The rains that prelude the end of the summer, together with less hours of sunlight, seem to have an effect on the behaviour of herds, prompting them to leave the thick forests and gather. These are the first notes of the bellowing, the ravished and violent mating season among Iberian red deer. These gatherings do not occur just anywhere. The groups of females move to more open areas, where the grass and water have managed to withstand the harsh summer weather. The fact that their mating period begins when there is less food and water in their habitat makes Iberian red deer unique in comparison to their Central and North European congeners, which are already in heat in the middle of autumn. The groups of females wait for the arrival of males in these small oases, continuing with the chores that keep them busy throughout the year, feeding and caring for their offspring. The young fawns await with amazed concern the arrival of these formidable animals they have never seen before. They have no way of knowing that one of these proud warriors who break in, wearing their still immaculate antlers, may be their own father. The rut of the Iberian red deer in the southern part of the Iberian Peninsula is also unique because it begins with a game of strategy. The first movements of the males are aimed at controlling these territories where there is water and food, as this guarantees females approaching them. It is an evolutionary strategy that is somehow geared by females, but that benefits everyone in an environment of scarce and scattered resources. It is easier for a male to control and defend a small space from other males than a harem that is continuously on the move. The females make sure that the best stallions mate with them, as they are the ones who are most likely to dominate these areas. Under the protection of the forest, other inhabitants are also in full breeding activity. The sun sets and this oak hawk moth female is flapping her wings to raise the temperature of her muscles. She prepares for another night in search of a partner or perhaps a good place to lay her eggs. These moths live as adults only for a few weeks, during which they do not even feed. They only mate and then die. This Lucanus barbarossa male is also in full breeding season. It holds a tense weight because it has detected another male approaching, perhaps attracted by the scent of a female who must be nearby. This species of beetle, endemic to the Iberian Peninsula and the Maghreb, and very unknown and little studied, does not even have a common name. It is smaller in size than its relative, the stag beetles, but they have in common an impressive jaw structure. Beneath it they have labial palps with red pilocytes, their scientific name being named after this. Both males prepare for a fight which will decide who is the strongest and will therefore be able to continue its journey towards the female. Their confrontations are of a dull violence. They resemble Greco-Roman wrestling, as they try to catch the opponent's body with their imposing jaws. When the duel is over, there will be no doubt about the winner. The excitement that runs through the groups of deer, with continuous skirmishes among the males, who are eager to dominate the places attended by females, is increased by the siege of some insidious visitors. Clouds of insects are attracted by the promise of such abundant food, which, coupled with the overwhelming summer heat, torture them relentlessly. What is an ordeal for deer is for others, on the other hand, the best gift they can receive. This ocellated lizard is savouring every ray of sunshine, warming up its blood. Next to its lair, the largest saurian inhabiting the Iberian Peninsula begins each day with such sunbaths which are essential for getting activated. And it will definitely need all its energy if it wants to eat today. Of course, this dragonfly would be a succulent breakfast, but its magnificent flying skills keep it safe from the voracity of the ocellated lizard. Rather, it focuses on more abundant and attainable targets, such as grasshoppers. But appearances can be misleading, especially if one of the competitors is risking its life. Sometimes luck can be more decisive than strength or skill in the daily struggle of ocellated lizards to feed themselves. And sometimes finding an easy prey does not guarantee that you will be able to eat it in peace. The sharp vision of ravens makes them discover the remains of a corpse first. But it is a skill that can often be turned against them. Other scavengers, such as red kites, are aware of this skill. The bright black plumage of ravens becomes a sign for these birds of prey that there's something to eat, and this can be seen very clearly from the sky. They can also see that there is no danger nearby. The tension between the diners is stewed before the carrion. Although they probably sense what is going to happen, ravens, encouraged by hunger, decide to tear the flesh from the scattered bones. Surprisingly, kites let them get on. But there is no kindness in this gesture. Rather, it further evidences how they use ravens to obtain their food. For a kite, which is somewhat larger and stronger, it is much easier to steal the flesh than to tear it from the bones of the corpse itself. Ravens are tough opponents. They are brave and are armed with a beak that can cause much damage. But they face an unequal battle with clear winners, red kites. However, they are not the only ones. There are some who, taking advantage of the chaos of the scuffle between ravens and kites, manage to get a piece of the action without a fight. The young Iberian red deer males do not stand much of a chance at beating a great stallion. It has neither the corpulence nor the weapons, but this will not stop it from trying, spurred on by testosterone. For them, the rut is, above all, a time for training. They behave like warrior apprentices, defying adult males without much conviction, chasing distracted females or starting fights with other young rivals. It is more a game or training than a real fight, because their real battles are yet to come. Those who are indeed ready and well armed to fight for the females make sure this is made very clear to others. An antler-to-antler fight always entails a high risk of serious injury. So it takes a lot of time and energy for males to proclaim their strength and thus discourage potential opponents. They tirelessly mark their territory by spreading their urine, digging, or rubbing their antlers against the ground or tree trunks. They also like to increase the size of their antlers by decorating them with whatever they find on the land. Even a shabby old piece of rope will do. When fully developed, antlers can account for up to 5% of the male's total weight. This represents a true energetic waste, which is renewed every year, fulfilling a double objective: as a weapon for combat, and also as an ostentatious ornament capable of arousing the interest of females. Males also proclaim their robustness and determination by saturating the air with their roars. The Mediterranean forest is filled with sound information that females and males know how to interpret. Emitting these sounds leads to enormous physical wear, so the number of roars a male is capable of producing is an excellent indicator of its strength. The way they make these sounds makes them unique compared with deer from the rest of the world. Only they stick out their tongues so much, sometimes even folding them downwards. It's believed that more than to achieve a kind of sonority, they do this to cool their throat down, which is of paramount significance when the heat is as intense as it is now. Completely oblivious to the hustle and bustle above their heads, dung beetles enjoy what to them must be the closest thing to a paradise of abundance: mountains of deer dung. Deer dung has a spherical shape which makes it easy to transport. They usually have to make themselves the dung balls and push them into a burrow they have dug out, to be used as a cradle and food for the larvae that will hatch from the eggs they lay. But peace does not always prevail, not even in the dung beetle's paradise of abundance. A dung ball coveted by two beetles, or a collision during transport, can lead to a bitter traffic discussion that are settled by pushing and shoving one another. Once the dispute is settled, everyone returns to the task they are obsessed with, which is so beneficial for the ecosystem they live in. It's through their work that seeds are dispersed and the recycling of nutrients is favoured, while they aerate the soil and delay the spread of potential parasites or pathogens. The unusual image of a group of vultures enjoying a day at the beach is good proof that in these last days of summer, the sun continues to relentlessly punish the inhabitants of this ecosystem. The fire that falls from the sky only increases the exhaustion of Iberian red deer males. During the rut, which usually lasts 1 month, they hardly eat or rest. All of their energies are focused on these demonstrations of power and on the surveillance of their territories and the females in them. An effort that they only interrupt briefly to take a few sips or seek the coolness of a shadow, but without ever forgetting the task they are obsessed with. When a female passes by, the male bellows. He does this to convince her of his physical skills and also to urge her to ovulate. But they know that roars, marks, and displays of their physical skills will not suffice. The time for the real fight is soon to come. Who is the best will be decided once and for all on the battlefield. An early snowfall covers the highest and most rugged areas of the great mountain range that divides the Iberian Peninsula in half. It is the territory of another formidable fighter, the Iberian wild goat. As in the case of the Iberian Red Deer Society, the mating season encourages Iberian wild goats to gather together. Males and females of this species, which can only be found in the Iberian Peninsula, spend the rest of the year separated from each other, prancing with astonishing safety over the crags and cliffs of the mountains that make up their natural habitat. This continues until the call for mating urges them to seek each other. The differences between genders are as numerous as they are striking. Males are taller and stockier than females, sometimes even doubling their weight. The differences can also be seen on their coat, as males have dark spots that spread over their bodies with age. The size of the horns, which are permanent and whose annual growth can be observed in their rings, also differentiates them. The powerful image of large males, which are those who have already reached 8 years of age, takes over that of the heights that surround the space occupied by females and young specimens. They are warriors who are aware that they are about to enter battle. Unlike Iberian red deer, in their world there are no previous strategies or dissuasive maneuvers. The first thing they will do is decide who will have access to the females when they are in heat, and they will do so by fighting. The violent head-to-head banging resounds on the granite rocks. The air shakes with the brutal sound of the combat which will decide who is the best. They do not try to hurt the opponent with their horns, but to force them to surrender, proving their physical inferiority. One after the other, the magnificent warrior will eliminate competitors in fights such as this one, until it is clear to everyone that he is the champion. Therefore it will be he who will have the privilege of mating with the females of the flock. Once the leadership is established, the triumphant male gives in to the much less violent courtship ceremonies. He throws his head back and stretches his neck anxiously, seeking the scent of a female in heat with whom to mate with at last. But that will only happen when she consents to it. Sometimes it's a female in full heat who seeks to draw the stallion's attention by running off. She's immediately chased by a herd of aroused males. But there's no violence or confrontation between them. Everyone respects the hierarchy gained by fighting, lining up behind the champion. Below, in the forest glade, where the bellowing of Iberian red deer takes place, the tension between the males is reaching its peak. The time for territorial strategies, for strutting and roaring loudly how strong and powerful they are, has come to an end. If you want a harem to mate with, the only way to achieve it is by fighting a duel. They intertwine the barbs on their antlers to better push the opponent. They seek to wear each other down, to demoralize each other by proving that they are stronger, to make them abandon the battlefield, humiliated. Even if it is not their intention, the violence of these battles can cause serious injuries to one of the opponents. Over the next few days, the noise of fighting continues unabated. This noise may come from a stallion forced to defend its harem against successive competitors, or by a defeated one who tries again in the hope of finding a weaker male this time. Until finally the sound and the fury ceases. Winners can now claim what they have earned in good faith: their right to mate with the females in the herd. Stallions have no room for distraction. The ovulation of females lasts between 12 and 24 hours, and it is only then that they will accept males. The natural impulse that prompted them to gather weeks ago now induces them to separate. Groups of females and young specimens begin to leave the territory where mating has taken place. It's still possible to hear a male trying his luck in search of a female straggler. but it will become more and more scarce until it ceases completely. The hormonal storm that has shaken males and females abates as the sun sets. Autumn has come to settle in the Mediterranean forest. Pregnant females have 8 months of gestation ahead of them until a new generation of Iberian red deer is born. The roar of deer is now just a memory, and another sound tears through the darkness. It is the love songs of the monarch of shadows. The eagle owl, the grand duke, hooting for the female. The largest and most powerful of Europe's night birds of prey now begin their courtship in the hillock from which they control their hunting grounds. Fighters also leave the battlefield where they have fought to be the best. They return to the thickness of the forest, away from the females, where it will take them a long time to recover. During the rut, a male can lose up to 25% of its weight after going so many days without hardly eating, drinking or resting. The wear can be so extreme that some will not be able to develop sufficiently formed antlers, leaving them in an inferior position for the next bellow. Others will simply not survive the combats. Totally exhausted, they become easy prey for illness or accidents. Vultures signal from the sky where this male has lost its last and final battle. The cycle of wildlife never stops and knows nothing of mercy. The the beaks and claws of vultures will render account of what was a proud Iberian red deer male only a few days ago. Spring welcomes a new generation of Iberian red deer. They are the fruits, full of life and energy, of the bellowing that took place a few months ago. Among these fawns, who take their first hesitant steps under the watchful eye of their devoted mothers, are the future champions. Fawns who one day will come to the call of blood, ready to fight tirelessly to prove that I'm the best.